Welcome to the Plaid Sheep Oracle, Cancer. Oh, Cancer. So, I got this new Oracle deck from the Divining Poets series, and this is Emily Dickinson. Your card is Forever Might Be Short. Now, I haven't, for the other signs, at least so far, read any of the top and bottoms off the Dickinson deck, but I'm going to do so for you because the top card, the visible underline, it says to possess is past the instant we achieve joy. And then the unseen is the card that another sign got. Is bliss then such abyss? I must not put my foot amiss, for fear I spoil my shoe. So this is all about my desire and the pleasures of anticipation, but also how good you're willing to have it, Cancer. So forever might be short. It may feel to you, both with this Seven of Swords here, this eagle is looking tired today. He's been flying just apparently for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. Just, he's had enough. And actually below him is the Hermit, who does have a kind of waiting, or can have a bit of a waiting energy. And here, waiting submerged. And then the Ten of Swords. Can it please be done? And then the bottom of the unseen is this Five of Air, Five of Swords. And in this deck, there is anticipation. There's also mysticism. There is communing and conjoining with universal energies. Perhaps practicing moon magic, which is something that you might be into, with the moon as your guide. So this is all sort of mixed in together. This card, to possess is past the instant we achieve joy, is a card that's come up in personal reading. And, on the one hand, I understand it, I identify it often. The chase is what's exciting. Certainly you may have encountered that in relationships. There was somebody, particularly maybe somebody who was distant in some way, couldn't be had in some way. Maybe they were with somebody else, or they lived really far away. They were unattainable in some way. And you really enjoyed the pursuit. But then if you achieved what you had, it kind of fell flat. And you were ready to move on to the other thing. It was the chase that was the animating bit. And we see that here with your first card, which is the Emperor. Here with this chase. And this is, I think, not just an Aries thing, but a cardinal sign thing. Right? Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Right? There is a desire to move, to go, to initiate. And it's the chase that is exciting. The newness that is exciting. And this, this can be lovely, but, and that's part of this forever might be short. The two halves of things. Oh my God, I've been waiting forever. Or, that the chase is too short, that it's over too soon. The prey is caught too quickly. And it kills off that chase thing. And I think that this can be, it can be fun. Certainly it can be interesting. But there is something too about it being a little sad too. And it may be because I have so much Taurus in my chart that the idea of possession, of achieving whatever it is actually really attractive to me. I have an Aries sun. I like the chase, but I also like the achieving of the thing. And what seems to be at play in part is discernment. The way to have both of these things, to really enjoy the chase, the process, but then to also enjoy the having, the achieving of the thing. Whether it's a person or a job, a project, a promotion, a new house, a new car, some other, whatever the thing is, some accolade, some prize. You often see it in many movies and books, and people talk about it, that they work and work and work and work to achieve something, and then they have it and it falls flat, and then they get depressed. And this is not, nobody wants this pattern. That's no fun at all. And so we have here the student of water, who is the Page of Cups. And so these next three cards, we start with the Page of Cups, who is eternally hopeful, eternally optimistic, and in fact, even beyond hopeful, has faith, is not jaded, has not succumbed to ennui. And then we have the Seer of Air, who is, in this deck, the culmination of the air cards. The kind of the ability to see beyond. To see beyond the achievement moment. I think perhaps, maybe the reason that, or one of the reasons, I think there's probably several, why people have this deflation after they've achieved something, is that in their mind, it's going to create something else. It will, if it's a person, it's going to be it's your soulmate. You'll find happiness. If it's a job, you'll finally be, where you're supposed to be and fulfilled in your life. If it's some sort of award, you know, the Nobel Prize or an Oscar or something, right? You've reached this achievement, you can, you know, feel fulfilled. And then the thing doesn't do that. So it seems to me that with the seer, it's a matter of really knowing why you're doing a thing. You know, are you seeking this Nobel, right? Are you doing the research that you're doing, say, in order to achieve the Nobel Prize, in order to receive some accolade? Is that really at the root? Or are you doing it just because this is just really fascinating to you? You know, you're deeply immersed in the research and in, you know, in doing experiments, and you're just fascinated by the whole thing. And, you know, even if nobody ever noticed what you were doing, you would just really enjoy the process. And so that the Nobel Prize is kind of the cherry on the sundae, because that is just great. That was right. I had an awesome time and I got the Nobel Prize, which is really wonderful. And, you know, but I'm already kind of thinking about the next line of research or where to go from here. You know, I can see the long road, the long line beyond this. You know, or I've met this person and, you know, we've had a really great time kind of dating and getting to know each other. And, you know, there's been this, you know, interesting back and forth. And, you know, there's been a bit of pursuit. Maybe I've been, you know, engaged in a seduction. And there's been lots of lovely interplay. But now, you know, we're getting married. And so now we begin a new adventure. There's a whole new thing. Right? Seeing all of it. So that you don't have to be deflated. Right? And we have the 9 of Cups. And it is the 9. Right? So there's personal satisfaction. There's the receiving of the thing with great abandon and joy. You know, this hippo is going to eat this flower and is not going to be deflated about that. He's going to really enjoy munching and digesting and tasting and doing all of that of this flower. And that'll be really satisfying. He won't, you know, feel, oh, it's over. So right, it's not the 10. Right? The thing is not over. So we have trust the timing. Trust the wave you came in on. Time is not running out. Forever might be short. Below that, we have let it go. With release the past, forgive, soften, move forward. And then the bottom of the deck is this child of the cosmos. The intelligence of the universe lies within you. And she seems, you know, to really be accepting all of this energy. She's open, her heart is open. She makes me think of Bernini's Teresa of Avila, right? The ecstasy of Teresa of Avila, where she is pierced by this golden arrow of God. To receive all things. To not be afraid of bliss. To not think of bliss as something either that is fleeting and it will never come again, or as something that has a balance. Brene Brown calls this foreboding joy. When you feel some deep joy and then your mind immediately goes to some terrible thing. She describes it, she talks about it as, you know, seeing her children and loving them so much and having, you know, this deep, and then her mind will, you know, come up with some story of catastrophe, you know, a car accident, or, you know, something happens and everything is destroyed. Right? The other shoe drops. And there's a lot of that, right, in culture, right? Don't jinx it by talking about it. I actually had this thought. I don't know if you've seen the movie Fiddler on the Roof, but there's a moment where Tzeitel is telling her mother that her new baby never cries, and her mother says, "Oh, don't tempt the evil eye." So we do this. We shut down joy. We don't allow it for ourselves. And then we're deflated. And we just feel, right? It's like we can never feel filled. The hunger remains forever and ever because we don't allow the full expression of joy. And Cancer, your energy, you know, you may feel a lot, right? Feel the changing emotions of those around you as well as your own. You may have this sense really of joy being fleeting. But it doesn't have to be. Right? Baby steps. It says, action, follow your intuition before it makes sense. But also, right, taking baby steps. And then the healing lagoon. Rejuvenate, recovery, time to heal. It's safe to stop. So that there may also be a sense with this, right, this timing, this idea that time is short, that I have to keep going, I have to do the next thing because I'm going to run out of time. That can be another reason that we cut joy off, right? I've achieved it, on to the next thing immediately. Without really allowing. This next card says metamorphosis. Embrace transformation, things are now different. But this today is feeling really like the allowing of those emotions, right? Kind of, because you may, Cancer, I mean, Cancer is, you know, known for emotions, but it can be that it caused you in your childhood to turn them off. It may have been painful, and if there wasn't somebody around you who could help you, it may have just felt better to turn them off, to really retreat into your shell, to bury yourself in the sand and not feel. So there may be baby steps to come out to feeling all sorts of things. Because there is this sense, it actually makes me think of often in descriptions of shape-shifting, particularly stories of werewolves, for example, that the transformation is painful, right? To go from human to werewolf and back. And maybe, you know, I never sort of really thought about that way, but maybe, right, this idea of the werewolf and the moon has something to do with emotions. With emotions taking us over. With rage, particularly. But also other things, grief, sad things, stuff that is disturbing that we don't want to experience. But the joy can feel that way too because of that foreboding aspect, right? If you feel too much joy, something bad is going to happen. Right? So that pain, if you allow, right, if you really allow yourself to feel. But if you don't, then you may be hungry forever. You know, that's another thing associated with werewolves is the hunger. Right? That maybe it's the hunger to express emotion. And usually in these stories, the werewolf is a man. And certainly in most of our cultures, men in many cultures were not allowed to express, right? That was something that happened, I think, relatively early on in the game, is that men were cut off from expressing, particularly, you know, things like grief and sadness, and maybe even certain kinds of joy, tender joy, as opposed to victory. But then we have the rainbow. Sweet relief, new beginnings, a new way forward. So there may be this period that you are going through, Cancer. It may be that you have been going through this. Pluto opposite your sign since 2008. Right? Transformation, metamorphosis. Allowing yourself to feel in ways that you never have before. This might be especially true if you're a Cancer rising, because then Pluto at some point traversed your 7th house, that cusp of one-on-one relationships of all kinds, intimacy. And now there is a new way forward. Pluto is making a final dip September 1st. I don't know, I had it in my head that it was September 4th. I'm not sure what that was about, but it's actually September 1st. Pluto re-enters Capricorn and is just there until the 19th of November. Last little visit. And right before he does that, in fact, today that I'm recording this, the 29th, he will be trined by Venus. Venus is very important in my natal chart. And so I think that her messages do come through very strongly in the readings that I do. She is a prominent part of my fellowship. And so she is here talking about your feeling. And the North Node, too, right, on January 12th. I've been saying the 25th, but it's January 12th, 2025. The North Node moves into Pisces. So the North Node will be moving from this Emperor energy into the Moon energy, if we take it as a tarot correspondence, and into a sign that's trine yours. And that's a nice, easy flow of energy. So I think that if you've been, you know, doing what you need to do to release your emotions, to enable yourself to really feel things, and to feel them in the moment, and to identify them, to be able to hold them in difficult moments, you know, in the middle of an emergency, or, you know, if you're in a group of people, you know, maybe where you can't burst into tears, or you know, you don't feel comfortable doing that because they're mostly strangers, or, you know, whatever it may be, that you can be kind to yourself and then release them, you know, your emotions in a controlled way later. But being kind to yourself, knowing I'm feeling this, right? I feel this sadness. I allow myself to feel it, and then I can, you know, let myself sink into it completely when I get to a safe place. That now this is kind of coming to a completion, and that you may be in a place where you can allow yourself greater joy on a daily basis. That you don't, right? You're not chasing joy. So we have the Watchers. And I think that's you there in your red dress. Allowing yourself, right, to really be part of the people around you. Being more open. We also have this Three of Pentacles right below, right? That's very, you know, kind of one-on-one, perhaps intimacy that you haven't allowed yourself before. And the bottom is this lesson. And I want to say not so much the lesson as just this, right, this imagery of this happy young woman and the rabbit, and they're running and they feel free. Right? It's kind of this Page of Cups energy that is with you. So we have Catching the Light. And here, so interestingly, is the sun where it looks like a wedding. That you are marrying, becoming wedded to the sun. So you don't just catch the light and then throw it back, because it was the catching that was the only important aspect. You're going to keep it. You're going to stick with it. You're going to be committed. You're going to embrace it as part of your life. Right? With the Ace of Swords, this is a new idea for you, perhaps. A new way forward, that you don't have to keep chasing the next thing. You can really enjoy what you have achieved, what you have received, attracted into your life. That you are allowed, that you are allowing yourself. To enjoy it. And here with this gift card, you are right in your red outfit. You're going to not stop and focus on that hole in the roof. You're not going to look for what's wrong. You're not going to find the issue. You're not going to nitpick. You're not going to be perfectionist about what comes into your life. You know, this is a great job, but, you know, it takes me 20 minutes to get there instead of only 10 minutes. Or, you know, my office doesn't face the direction I want. Or, you know, I found this really beautiful house, but, you know, the bedroom is 20 square feet smaller than I wanted. You're not going to look. You're going to stop looking for the hole in the roof. So then we have justice, harmony, right? The ability to see different points of view, the ability to balance, in fact, right? To kind of have a dynamic relationship with things in your life, especially with this Knight of Wands right below. Right, the Knight of Wands meeting justice is a more relaxed seeking. Right, the bottom is the Ace of Wands. So we're not going to give up on the new desire, but we have a new relationship with it, with justice. Right, that's more of a Newsian energy. Ten of Swords, the corpse that we're going to leave behind. And then the Ten of Pentacles. And actually here I'm seeing that I see you here as kind of the biggest figure. That maybe you've been excessively responsible, perhaps. You've been seeing yourself as taking care of a lot of other people, or of, somehow being separate. And that is coming to an end. And so we move, first of all, Two of Swords. Inner seeing. Not relying on external validation, external signals. Really feeling much more confidence. Because now that you can feel everything, now that you've come into this rainbow space, you are allowing yourself to really feel, then this becomes possible. As does Two of Cups intimacy. Because if you don't really allow yourself to feel, if you are assuming that when you achieve something, it's going to fall flat, that it's only the pursuit that's interesting, then you can't really get to real intimacy. Right? Which requires vulnerability, it requires time and commitment. Right? A willingness for both you and the other person to have, these difficult characteristics. And if you're closed off, if you're shut off, if you don't let yourself feel, and or you don't let your feelings be seen, then that also cuts off intimacy with anybody, with a lover or with friends, family, even yourself. And that guidance system. Formal advice. There are 5 major arcana out of 6 really visible cards here. We have on the top and bottom the High Priestess and the Hierophant. Now that's a powerful combination. Right? The completely receptive download, the real strong connection to the moon. Traditionally, this card is associated with the moon in tarot. Well, I'm sorry, with the moon in astrology. And then the Hierophant, who is authority, spiritual authority. He is the as above, so below. He brings the spiritual into physical reality, like the priest who turns the wafer into flesh and the wine into blood. He is knowing, he is your own sense of knowingness, and with Taurus, he is associated with Taurus. There is a sense of practicality, of being able to act on the information that the High Priestess receives. Right below the Priestess is the Eight of Wands, which has been coming out everywhere since that full moon energy that we had, that is, right, is still unrolling. We are about to enter eclipse season at the end of September, beginning of October. We're about a month away from the first eclipse of the full moon in Pisces. And then actually below that is this Two of Voices, again, the Two of Swords, decision-making process. Then we have the Star, right, the receiving. And with the Star, you know, when I was first introduced to tarot, the person who was reading for me, and in some places where I read descriptions in early tarot things, the Star was actually associated with sex, with sexuality, and free sexual expression. In part because in the Waite-Smith Tarot, and here, actually, though you don't see it, the Star is naked and is standing in water. Right? And water being a sensual thing, a symbol for sexuality, right? The free flowing of water, right? She's pouring water out of her container. And I hadn't thought about that for a really long time, but it's sort of come into my head, and I feel as if the Star may be transforming for me, at least, you know, kind of when it appears for me personally. And then sometimes the cards often, you know, will show up in different aspects and guises as I do readings. But to think of the Star this way, as this free expression, not just of mind and self, as might be with Aquarius, but of eros and sexuality as well. And for you, of emotion, right? The free pouring out of emotion. And then the world cosmos. I want to say it's kind of an achievement of the world. You know, she has this, right? She's got this world sitting kind of on her third eye, and, you know, it's small enough that she can hold it. And this feels like a real feeling of security, you know, that the world is not some giant, terrible, frightening place. that it lies within your grasp. And then the Magician. The ability to manifest, to bring things into being. I think she speaks for herself. And then finally, the Two of Materials. This is the third two. We've had Swords, Cups, and now Pentacles. Interestingly, only the Wands are missing. And it may be because you normally have a lot of inspiration. That your ability to start something is easy. You don't need the Two of Wands. Right? What you need is these others, right? The ability to see things within yourself, to make choices based on your intuition, to be in intimacy with yourself and others, and then to have a joyful experience with the physical world. Right? To not think of it as juggling or forever pursuing, but to think of it as a dance. That you dance with the physical world, right? That's kind of what the Magician does. And actually the Emperor in this Muse deck, the Queen of Inspiration was down there next to the Hierophant. Oh, and look, there's the Eight of Emotions with that eclipse. And actually, where is the Emperor in here? Oh, there, between Justice and this Eight of Emotions. So this, right, this dancing Emperor, as opposed to a constantly pursuing Emperor. And then maybe there is something, possibly, about, if you're watching this when I post it, about this upcoming both Libra season and the eclipses. Because there's one eclipse in Virgo season with the full moon in Pisces, and then one in Libra season with the new Libra moon on October 2nd. So there may be something in that for you, Cancer, that's showing up here. Cancer, I think it's exciting, right? You're reaching the end of the rainbow. Does it feel really good? I hope it feels really good. I hope it feels powerful too. That you feel the amazing power that really allowing your emotions, allowing your joy to come out fully gives you. I wish you the very, very best, Cancer. And I will see you next time. So long.